Alright, no intro, no intro. Fuck all that. We gonna get right to it, bro. Alright, no intro. Whoa. Yeah. So Drake, Kendrick Lamar, beef. Pause. What's the dirt? That's the channel's name who made this video. They made a video about Family Matters and the lyrics breaking down. A breakdown of the lyrics. And I liked his 616 breakdown. I know that he did some other breakdowns of. Let me actually see. What other ones did he do?
Drake and
He did Mob Ties. He did Euphoria. And then 616. And then now Family Matters. I'm sure he has other content, but I don't really know too much about it. I did watch 616 one. I didn't watch any of his other videos. So I kind of know what to expect as far as his style and his format. This video was released 4 days ago. I haven't seen it yet. And there's been a lot of reactions to this video that I also haven't seen, but like from the titles, it seems like this video is some kind of controversial in some kind of way. I don't know what he says. I don't know anything. I'm going into this completely blind. Before I go into the video, though, I just want to say that as far as the Family Matters diss itself, it's a good song. I don't think it really did much damage at all. Like I think out of all of the diss songs that Drake put out, I think Push Ups was the best one. Family Matters, like, it was good, but when Meet the Grams came out, it kind of just like made that song nothing, in my opinion. But as far as the song itself, it was okay, but it wasn't hard hitting, I don't think. I think a lot of his points that he made towards Kendrick weren't like fleshed out as much as I would have liked. He kind of just like said things, but didn't really like delve into it. Like whenever Kendrick made a jab at Drake, he kind of explained it and made it personal to Drake and made it more of a diss. Like, you can't just say you beat your girl, like, cool, but like if he would have said like you beat your girl and like went into how against, you know, how against what Kendrick has been preaching that would be, or like something more than just like saying the thing. Kendrick, I feel like he did more than just say the thing. Kendrick like went into it in depth and detail and kind of like he just made his point more valid. So Family Matters, I feel like, didn't do enough of that. I don't think Drake did enough of that throughout the entire beef. But maybe I feel that way because I missed a bunch of stuff. So What's the Dirt is gonna tell me maybe what I missed. So let's get into it. It's 2 hours long. We're gonna watch it all.
guys, so once again, one at a time, if you haven't been paying attention, I'm breaking down these records in the order that they were released, which means we're now at Family Matters for Drake. And before I even get started, like, you guys do realize that it is very possible to be a fan of two artists at the same time, right? Like,
yes, which is fucking weird to me that everyone is like, I mean, I know people would pick a side because everyone has their favorites. What's good, T-Mac? Everyone has their favorites, but you can like Kendrick and Drake. I like Kendrick and Drake. I like Kendrick more, but I like Drake. I like Drake's music. A lot of his albums are great. A lot of his later albums didn't really resonate me as well as his earlier projects did, but like, if Drake drops an album, I'm gonna listen to it, you know? Like, I like good music. So if you put out good music, I'm gonna like it.
this is indeed possible. And I fully understand that I'm not getting any popularity points for giving Drake any sort of compliments for this record. I know for a fact that if I approached this break...
You didn't miss anything. I literally just started.
...down in a way where I completely all over it, I'd get way better feedback from the audience, but I'd also be lying because Drake does indeed make some great points on this record. And I also truly believe that as the years go by, this breakdown will be appreciated and respected. Now, before we even look at Family Matters, we need to look at what Drake was doing on social media leading up to the track, as he posted several things online. First, Drake posted a photo of his son Adonis looking into a mirror with the caption, "Mirror Time Crody," and this in itself has a couple meanings. First off, Drake is directly responding to Kendrick's shots on Euphoria, where he mocked Toronto slang.
Don't speak on the family, Crody. You can get deep in the family, Crody.
Secondly, Kendrick has mentioned a mirror in several songs throughout his career.
Behind the mirror, I know what you're scared of. The feeling emotions inferior. Sometimes I look in the mirror and ask myself, and every day that glass mirror get tougher to watch.
I don't know what point he's about to make with this. Sure. Is it on your current channel right now, your music? I'll listen to it after this. I mean, this video is 2 hours long, so I don't know. But I'll put it like on a tab and I'll keep it up there. I don't know what point he's about to make with this, but it sounds like it's about to be reachy as hell.
However, the more obvious reason for Drake's reference here was with respect to a track on Mr. Morale called Mirror, and this was the outro of the album where he touches on things like self-reflection and internal growth.
Not about to try who's wrong. Evolve the only thing known.
We also got an Instagram post from Kendrick's fiance Whitney where she says, "Sometimes the mirror is a harsh critic. Shit can get real ugly. I'm proud of the work we've done individually and as a family. Kendrick Lamar, thank you for your transparency. Healing can begin." So Drake is telling Kendrick, it's mirror time. It's time for some reflecting again. And next, Drake would post a video from the movie The Equalizer starring Denzel Washington.
I'm going to kill each and every one of you, and the only disappointment in it for
I remember this post. I don't remember the mirror shit.
me is that I only get to do it once.
And it was just a couple hours later where Drake would post a photo of some caution tape, metaphorically warning everyone about the drop. And then finally he posted a doctored version of the cartoon Ren and Stimpy, depicting Stimpy as an owl looking at a red button. And as you guys know, Drake has mentioned this red button.
Yeah, and he also had that posted after he dropped the song. As if he had like another red button. Because when he dropped The Hard Part 6, I felt like that was supposed to be the red button, but it really wasn't.
Button on many tracks before.
If I press this red button, dog, everybody heaven gated. Press this red button, dog, and everything forever changes.
Next, we need to take a look at the track
press
that
that
got
fucking button.
entirely overlooked.
You need to press that fucking button then.
As it was posted with Family Matters, but only on Drake's Instagram account. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about the Buried Alive Part 2 track.
Right.
Now, if you didn't watch my 616 breakdown, definitely check that out because that's also a theme in that record. On Part 2, Drake cleverly mocks Kendrick's original concept.
If you was in a pine box, I would surely break the lock. In a pine box, I would shovel dirt on top.
And just a little backstory on the original Buried Alive track, because this is important. The last 3 bars of the song was written from Drake's perspective, and this was something that Kendrick revealed in a 2011 XXL interview. And again, I dove way deeper into why Kendrick wrote this from Drake's perspective in the 616 breakdown. So Drake is really taking a chance to mock Kendrick with this Buried Alive Part 2 track. And this was supposed to be like a cherry on top for Family Matters, but it definitely did not work out that way,
at all.
as Drake would eventually delete this.
If you was in a pine box, I would still be in my spot.
Drake starts off the mocking by insinuating that even if Kendrick was dead, which is unfortunately when people are truly celebrated, that Drake would still be ahead of him. It's a story as old as time, right?
That's
Nipsey,
hilarious,
Dolph,
actually.
Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain. All these guys get immortalized after they pass away.
Looking in the mirror, still embarrassed. Stop talking how you gonna spare us.
Right.
Drake states that Kendrick is still insecure about his position in hip-hop, and even 13 years later, Drake is still big bro. It's exactly how it was on the original Buried Alive track. And this is where he's rebuttaling Kendrick's claims about...
See, even shit like that, I feel like that's a great point in a great perspective and a great theme that he could have used to like make more of his point in the diss songs. But I feel like he didn't delve into that the right way. Like saying, I'm still on top. You can easily say that, and it's true. Drake is a more commercially successful artist than Kendrick Lamar. But to like draw that parallel between this is where you were on the album that I put you on to show you to the world, and all these years later you're still in that position, and he could have like fleshed it out even better than that. To really like paint that picture would have been a great point, but he didn't paint that picture right in my opinion.
Sparing him on Euphoria.
And I think a lot of this back and forth between them two comes down to how good of a writer each of them are. And I'm not saying Drake's not a good writer, but like he didn't really put as much like thought and like themes in these songs, you know, like Kendrick really picked him apart, bro, like really well. Even down to the Not Like Us shit when he was like explaining once upon a time all of us was in chain. He could have just said, Drake, you're a culture butcher. That whole section of that song was just basically calling Drake a culture vulture. He could have did that, but he broke it down so fire. Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still double down calling it. And then he like really drew a parallel between how Atlanta was like going in slavery times to Drake doing that same thing as a colonizer. He could have just said that, but the fact that you can draw that point and really point it out makes it that much more effective. And I feel like that's what the difference was in this back and forth. What would you say? Drake is not a good writer. Yeah, he's a good singer or even a good artist in general, but lyricism is brain dead. Yeah, like Drake has a very unique skill set, and it works for his music. It's just that when you're going up against someone, especially someone like Kendrick, like I feel like Family Matters or like something to that effect would have worked better against like someone else. But someone like Kendrick who writes so like deeply and layered, and it's not just surface level. The words I'm saying aren't just words. Like they all mean shit and they all like draw a picture. When you go get someone like that, you can't just do the regular like jabs. Like you might throw more jabs, but then you get that one gut punch or that one uppercut and then you get knocked out. Kendrick is really good at not wasting his words. And I feel like Drake, I love that you look like that. Down syndrome is a good look. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, like Kendrick is good at not wasting his words. And I feel like Drake, especially the fact that he like took so many shots at other people in Family Matters, I feel like he needed to fucking hone in on Kendrick. Like that is your target. Fuck Rick Ross, fuck ASAP Rocky. No one gives a fuck about yeah back and forth. This is for Kendrick, nigga. Get at Dot, bro. Fuck all the bullshit. And when you make a point, like flesh the point out. Don't just say some shit. Make it make sense. You know what I mean?
Down on that line, but spray this town. That's random Mexican.
And we too
right
learned
now?
that Kendrick
I'm
would indeed
responding to
double
this
down
video.
because we got Meet the Grams and then we got Not Like Us.
React like an infant whenever I mention. It's like you need tension. I always get attention.
And if you're not familiar with the original Buried Alive track, Drake really is matching this stylistically pretty well bang on. So Drake plays a pretty good angle here, as there are many examples of Kendrick using conflict to his advantage. For example, the Control verse was amazing.
Yeah. And again, I feel like this is another instance of Drake just saying the thing. Saying you need tension to get attention. He just said that. But if you like break it down and create a narrative surrounding that point and like really make that point come alive, the apostle. Why the fuck are you talking about the Bible right now, bro? We're talking about rat beef. I appreciate it, but like, damn. But yeah, like, that's all I'm saying is Drake just says the thing, whereas Kendrick says the thing, breaks the thing down, draws parallels between the thing and your character, includes things you've done. Like, he makes it more of a punch, whereas Drake kind of leaves it at the jab.
Amazing, but let's be real. Had he not name dropped all those rappers, it would have been totally forgettable. Nah, bro, he was shaking up the game.
Now, see, imagine if, I mean, I know that Kendrick is more successful than a lot of those rappers that he mentioned, but imagine if Drake, one by one, named all those rappers and said, you didn't do this like him, you didn't do this like him, or like something like that, like something to make that point stick more than just saying you need tension for attention.
No, he did that for attention. Kendrick Lamar did Control to get attention. That's facts.
Well, nigga, first of all, I feel like that's a wild point because literally, like, and if you're in the industry making commercial music, everything you do is for attention. Like, literally everything you do is to get notoriety for what you do. Every song you drop is for people to listen to, and a lot. For people to listen to, and a lot. Feel wave if you know, you know. But yeah, like he's saying it like it's a bad thing. Like, yeah, I did that for attention. I did that to further my career and push the genre. Yes.
Then we've got the BET freestyle where he dissed Drake and then denied doing it after. And while he does do his thing in
he definitely dissed Drake.
That cypher, without this element, it wouldn't have caused much buzz. That was the only reason why the cypher made headlines, and he's done similar shock value things like the Heart Part 4, and now again, he did it on the Like That record. And let's not sugarcoat it, these were massive moments for Kendrick, and J. Cole said the exact same thing.
Well, I got here off of bars, not no controversy.
So both Drake and J. Cole feel the exact same way.
You always said how you want to bury me alive.
But you ignore the fact that Cole dissed both of them on Forest Hill Drive, though.
Jealousy disguised as your motherfucking pride.
So they all diss people. Like, why is that a point? They all diss people. Drake has dissed people before. Cole has dissed people before. Kendrick, Jay-Z, Eminem, nigga. If you rap, that's part of it. I'm sorry.
The last line about seeking attention, Drake appears to reference Kendrick's shots on Control, where he essentially said that he was trying to get Drake and all the other rappers out of here and more or less bury them.
But I'm trying to murder you niggas, trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you niggas.
In the second line, Drake claims that Kendrick was always jealous of his success, and I personally believe that this was true at one point, as we have Kendrick's own words to support this.
Me and my girl split the bucket to KFC. She listening to Drake, and all I can say, damn, these that much better than me, baby.
So, I mean, this was...
It's funny because Drake also had a line like that. When he was... I forgot the exact line, but he was saying, like, he was with a girl in a car and all she wanted to do was listen to Trey songs.
15 years ago, in 2009, Whitney is listening to Drake. He sounds pretty jealous to me. And some might argue that this isn't jealousy and that it's really a genuine dislike for how Drake represents a part of hip-hop that Kendrick doesn't respect.
I don't think it's that.
But if this were true, then why collaborate with Drake in the first place? If you were really against what Drake was doing musically or what that stood for, and you're this real dude, then why work with Drake in the first place? Because that would be fake, right? Drake had everything that Kendrick ever wanted.
You know, Light Season Kendrick is crazy. This nigga came a long way, bro.
And even on the original Buried Alive track, he talks about how he felt when he found out that Drake was the same age as him, but was way more successful.
He said that he was the same age as myself, and it didn't help because it made me even more rude and impatient. So
I don't know what else you want to call this but jealousy and envy, because that is what this is.
I took you on your first tour with us trying to catch a vibe. I was headline, you was standing on the side. Brought you and that other hoe along for the ride.
So again, Drake delivers nothing but facts here. Even on the original Buried Alive track, Kendrick seemed extremely excited about meeting Drake, almost like he was finally gonna get his moment because of it.
Felt like the initiation, a reality living in the matrix.
So I mean, even then he's saying meeting Drake was like an initiation, like he's finally getting his moment. Shit's finally gonna cut through. Wow, Drake, like, you know, that's what this is. And this turned out to be 100% true, and Drake is quick to bring this up because he really did take Kendrick and A$AP Rocky on their first big tour. Drake was indeed headlining while these guys were on the sidelines, and even Kendrick himself said he was not used to these big crowds and that he was overwhelmed with the look that Drake just gave him.
Nigga Drake holding us down, you know what I mean, pulling us out there to see this motherfucking crowd that we ain't seen before, me and A$AP. The transition of me doing the 2,000 venues I've been doing back then is a little sketchy for me doing this 10,000. I gotta really work some motherfucking magic.
So I do think it's safe to say that Kendrick once held a degree of envy towards Drake, and this isn't the first time that Drake held this tour over his head, as he's brought it up multiple times now. First, it was 2013 on the remix with Future.
Inside the hood like I'm from there, so you know it's all good when I come there. I hear you talk about your city like you run there, then I brought my tour to your city, you my son there.
Then he mentioned it again on 4 p.m. in Calabasas.
When they told me take a R&B on the road, and I told them no and drew for Kendrick and Rocky.
And I believe that he was referring to this again on a more recent track, Red Button.
Niggas got you to the spot, and then you separated. Reasons for it speculated.
I don't think anyone could deny the shine that Drake gave these guys, and I do believe Drake wanted them to win. Now, to be fair, which I am, Kendrick did go on a tour in 2010 with Tech N9ne called The Independent Grind before ever meeting Drake. The venues were definitely a lot smaller, and his name wasn't even featured on the flyers, but he did get some exposure from this tour. I'm sure those shows were instrumental in helping him with his stage performance and all kinds of shit, right? There's also the fact that even before the Buried Alive feature on Drake's album, Kendrick had already dropped Section 80, which gave him a lot of buzz in itself and prompted West Coast legends to hand him the torch on stage.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna mean this. You got the torch, you better run.
You know what I find kind of weird about this? Like, Drake definitely did give Kendrick a look. Like, that's undeniable. And to get a look like that from an artist like that is, like, really big. And it could really push you and, like, it could push you to greatness or to failure, like, really quickly. Like, you've seen people get that Drake stimulus package that people say and, like, flop. It happens. But I feel like Drake gets a lot of credit for doing shit that rappers have been doing since the beginning of rap. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like when Drake gives someone a look, it's like, bow down to Drake forever because Drake is the reason you're here. Never disrespect Drake. You feel me? And then when other artists do it, like if Jay-Z does a feature for Drake on his first album, it's like no one cares that Drake is taking shots at Jay-Z all the time, saying like, "Oh, Jay-Z, I used to want to be signed to Rockefeller, now I am Jay," or like no one says, "Oh, Drake, you should never take shots at Jay-Z. Jay-Z was on your first album. Do you know how big Jay-Z is? Jay-Z was a legend. You didn't deserve that feature then, and he put you on, and look how you treat him now." No one says that. No one ever says that shit. No one ever says, 50, why are you making all this fuss about Diddy? Diddy helped you out early in your career, blah, 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 blah. Like, no one does that for any other artist except Drake. People always, like, pick and choose when they want shit to work out. And that part I fucking despise, bro. Like, yes, Drake gave him a look, but that doesn't mean that Kendrick's supposed to just be, like, kneeling to him every time he sees him. That's not how hip-hop works, bro. There's been many times in hip-hop where someone has did something for someone else, their situation gets rocky, and then they have a falling out, beef, diss tracks, whatever. This isn't the first time this has ever happened. It won't be the last time this ever happens. Bro, Lil Wayne and Jay-Z had a back and forth on records, and Lil Wayne got Jay-Z lyrics tattooed on him. Like, bro, this is not a unique thing to give people a shout out or a look or a feature or put them on tour with you. That shit happens all the time. So why is it always this one that people like make that argument for?
So this whole handing it a torch thing was in August of 2011. That's 3 months before the Buried Alive track came out. At the end of the day, yes, Drake gave Kendrick a massive boost, but to say that Drake made Kendrick who he is would be insane. Kendrick
would be insane, bro. Would be insane.
Lamar is who he is as an artist because he's Kendrick Lamar. Let's just make that clear. I believe Cream rises to the top, like even without.
One of the crazy things is Lil Wayne actually had a relationship with my aunt back in Memphis '99. We're technically related. Shout out to your aunt, bro.
TDE, even without Drake, whoever.
Good points on the way hip hop works when it comes to getting put on. Yeah, like they always do that shit with this beef. Oh, Kendrick owes, like, they make it seem like Kendrick owes his career to Drake when, like, Drake has had help along the way too. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the Lil Wayne one is like, he's always going to pay homage to Wayne because Wayne, like, actually signed him and put him on and shit. But, like, no one talks about, bro, love it or hate it, Kanye gave Drake his first commercial music video. He produced a couple, I think it was 1 or 2 songs on Thank Me Later. Them niggas had beef. No one ever says, what? Drake? You having beef with Kanye after all he did for you? No one fucking does that.
I still think Kendrick would have found a way.
First time people lined up for your ass. Now you saying 2 pussy boys getting out of line.
Drake rebuttals Kendrick's comments on Euphoria about how J. Cole and Drake were giving each other props while on stage. So I feel Drake's pretty much saying, you know, me and Cole are giving each other props on stage, and that bothers you that much? Like, you got issues, bro. You're a hater. You're jealous. And when Drake states that this was the first time that anyone lined up for him, he's alluding to just how small the venues were that Kendrick performed at, and the fact that his name was never on the flyer, and on Drake's tour, he actually was on the flyer. No matter how you spin it, it was a whole different ball game when they went on tour with Drake. It was. Drake's cosign is a reminder to both ASAP and Kendrick that he really did help them, and while this is a fact, it's not really a hard-hitting angle, as this is already beyond public information.
Right.
I'd still
give it's a point, but it's not a super point.
Drake a couple points for this angle because it is true, but it's also very predictable.
You been hating hard for a very long time. It feel like Twitter ghost writing your reply.
Drake brings up the fact that many of Kendrick's angles in Euphoria and 616 were already pre-existing narratives that were in circulation about Drake already. At the end of the day, Kendrick didn't reveal anything new about Drake on those tracks. Most of the narratives were already unhatched by either the public or other people that dissed Drake in the past.
That's how you felt in 2011 while we wasting time. Dreams come true, Crody. This is where you die.
Alright, so on Kendrick's original Buried Alive track, from Drake's perspective, he tells Kendrick to accept the fame and states that Kendrick should bury himself in money, power, pussy, and fame. It's here where Kendrick left fans wondering, would he fall victim to these temptations, or would he have the willpower to avoid it?
So dig a shovel full of money, full of power, full of pussy, full of fame, and bury yourself alive. Then I died.
So it's on Family Matters where Drake will craft a narrative that Kendrick was not only someone that clearly lost this fight, but as someone that secretly lived a life not all that different from Drake's, as this is truly what he always wanted. With a history of infidelity, messing with groupies, and a self-proclaimed sex addiction, Kendrick did indeed get buried by the temptations of the industry, and it's here where Drake sets his funeral.
Dreams come true, Crody. This is where you die.
So this Buried Alive track got totally overlooked. I don't even think anyone covered it on YouTube or broke it down. But he is saying a lot here, and he does come with some pretty good angles. So I felt like I had to cut
good angles, or I said decent angles, bad execution.
And by the way, if you're wondering what
Because he could have made all those angles a lot more hard hitting if he would have did more with them.
wearing, this is my merch, my first run ever.
Don't care.
I
Don't
meet
care.
the grand things, the big records, family happy with how
care.
it turned out. I went through
Don't care.
these products.
That's like a cool shirt though. But don't
to be
care.
reflective.
Don't
We're gonna
care.
get this
Don't
to
care.
a lot of
Don't
one.
care.
He
Don't
dropped
care.
this record
All right.
at what'sthedirt.net, and I appreciate you guys more than you know. And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we finally get into the big fish, Family Matters, and when Drake finally dropped this record, he included the caption, "Stop trying to piece together what I know and go pick up the pieces of your broken home." And we'll hear more about this later. Now, unlike what
Okay.
people believe, Kendrick is not the only artist that can get busy when it comes to numbers and dates. Drake did an insane move with how he rolled out the back-to-back track against Meek.
Fire.
That whole setup was absolutely wild. And he suddenly does this again as he released the record on May 3rd, which, as you'll see later in this track, is a significant date, as this was when Kendrick performed at the Hard Rock Cafe, and this is when he allegedly put hands on Whitney, which is a large part of a premise of a track called Family Matters. Speaking of the title, let's look at this next, as it does hold significant meaning and acts as Drake's main angle as we move further into the track. And we're gonna get there. Now, at a surface level, the words Family Matters could be viewed as 1, family matters, meaning family is important, or 2, there's family issues at play, and in a legal sense, family matters usually pertains to proceedings for things like divorce, child custody, or domestic violence. And in this track, there's pretty much elements of all that. And of course, as you guys know, Kendrick often explores themes of family, loyalty, and social issues in his music, and this is an angle that Drake will later exploit. A large part of Drake's angle on this track is to paint Kendrick as a hypocrite. That is his goal. The title is
Am I Cripper Blood? It don't matter because you're going to be a bloody Crip or a crippled blood.
also a reference to the popular 90s sitcom Family Matters, set in Chicago, where Kendrick's family's from. His parents grew up on the south side of Chicago, with his father involved with the Gangster Disciples. They would later move to Compton, where Kendrick was born and raised, amid gang life. Now, while some of his uncles were gang members, Kendrick was only loosely affiliated, never fully involved. Drake uses the Family Matters reference to liken Kendrick to Steve Urkel, the nerdy neighbor who wasn't part of the family, but was always around. And this is a narrative we've heard from Drake throughout the whole beef, right? You're not that guy. You're not snatching any chains. You're a sweetheart. You're soft. Now, the artwork is essentially a carbon copy of the design for the Family Matters show, with the only difference being that the show had Chicago in the background and Drake used an LA skyline. I even found the original image that Drake used. Basically, it's just an Adobe stock image that he purchased for $105 Canadian. Not the most original cover, but the concept is there. Now that we looked at the title and the artwork, let's take a look at the beat selection. Structurally, this track is composed of 3 different beats, with 6 producers being credited, which is not a coincidence, as Drake is meeting Kendrick's demands from the Like That record.
Fuck sneak this and first person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches.
And that's exactly what Drake did. This track does have 3 beats, 3 switches.
2 switches. Because if it's 3 beats, it switches twice. A switch works when one thing goes to the next thing. So one beat, then it switched to another beat, then it switched again. The first beat didn't switch because it was the first beat. It's 2 switches, not 3 switches. Are we clear on that? You like R. Kelly songs? Great.
The first beat, I could say with 100% certainty, was produced by Tay Keith, Drama Kid, and Preem, as I found this info on Drama Kid's Instagram. I also confirmed that the second beat was produced by Kevin Mitchell, as I sourced this info from his Twitter account. And quite a few of these producers aren't big names. Like, no one even mentioned these guys, even though they're part of like this massive moment. So I left their socials in the description. Give them a follow. Now, from what I could tell, the only track that had samples was the third beat, which is a sample called Conclusions by Grodek Whipperjenny. Grodek Whipperjenny was a band out of the 70s with two main members being James Brown and
Catch yourself in his mouth. Someone going in the market me right now. That shit was fire. I ain't gonna lie. That was a good line.
Dave Matthews. I listened to a bunch of their stuff and it's all honestly phenomenal. I learned that David Matthews in particular has been sampled in hip-hop a bunch of times before. From what I could tell, Drake's beat selection doesn't really have any big
Popeyes, not KFC. Popeyes.
hidden meanings or anything, not that I could find. So right off rip, Drake goes beyond just giving us the audio for this track as we get a full-on music video with it. Now, what you'll notice is the thumbnail on YouTube is different from the DSP artwork, as what we see is a 1996 Plymouth Voyager about to get crushed. And we will talk more about this van later in the video. To start off visually, Drake begins by spinning a G-Unit chain, really supporting his claims from push-ups. The G-Unit chain is definitely symbolic, as it more or less acted as the mascot for G-Unit, and 50 was known for beefing with multiple opponents, being extremely ruthless and petty. Now, many people
I still want that fucking chain.
assume that 50 gave this chain to Drake, but this is completely false, as Drake had this chain custom made by Johnny Dang.
Yeah, that chain is a lot different than the original G-Unit spinner chain.
You mention my seed and I deal with his dad. I gotta go bad. I gotta go bad.
Which really tells me that Drake had all this set up and planned, likely even before the Push-Ups track dropped, as you'll see him execute specific things in this video that didn't happen overnight. This took some time to put together. There's no doubt that a lot of effort went into this. I mean, buying the chain, getting it made, buying the van, all that stuff took time. Now, as far as Drake's relationship with 50, they both seem to have a mutual respect for one another, and they even took a bunch of photos together after the beef. So even though Drake made the chain himself, he more than likely had 50's blessing, right? He probably okayed it. And in the very first few seconds of the video, there's another layer of symbolism. If you look closely, Drake is wearing a FUBU shirt.
I didn't peep that. That's actually hilarious.
And flashes the middle finger, which is clearly a bold response to Kendrick's shots on Euphoria. And I was able to find the exact design that he was wearing, and it's like 90s vintage FUBU. So he's really saying fuck you.
But FUBU never had been your collection.
Drake's
The funnier part is like, I do wear FUBU, motherfucker. I do wear FUBU. The fuck? That's hilarious, though.
Starts off the track with a direct rebuttal to Kendrick's claims on Euphoria when Kendrick clowned him for his use of the N-word.
We don't wanna hear you say nigga no more.
Drake strategically trolls Kendrick by getting his own mother to start
that. Actually, I wouldn't have my mom joke around with the N-word if she's white, personally, but that's just me.
Track requesting that Drake not use the word.
Maybe in this song, you shouldn't start by saying,
Nigga, I said it. I know that you mad.
It's pretty clever because his mother probably doesn't approve of him using this word either. She probably asked him many times over the years not to use it, but she ultimately couldn't do anything about it.
But Drake is a bad boy. He'll say what he wants. He's unhinged.
Because Drake is half black, the other side of his family uses it, so she had really zero say in the matter. So he's pretty much saying, like, my own mom couldn't stop me. You're deaf.
That's actually insane. My own mom couldn't stop me from saying nigga. That's wild for him to put this in this video.
We're not going to. And what's also really clever here is that Drake is 37 years old, and he says the N-word 37 times on this track.
All right, now this is just getting out of hand. Now he just What is to mean what? I said it 37 times and I'm 30. Like, what does it mean?
And I believe his reasons for doing this is he's basically saying the word for every year that he's been alive to symbolize that he was indeed born black.
I don't know. I don't think that's that. I think that's just coincidence, bro. I don't think Drake was like, yeah, you know what? I'm 37. I'm gonna say it 37 times. My own mama couldn't stop me from saying. That's wild. If Drake actually did that, that's corny as fuck, bro. That's fucking corny as fuck. But no, I don't think Drake did that.
And look, I know this is all about culture and not really about race, but no matter how you spin it, a lot of the themes that Kendrick uses in his own music, Drake's family also went through, and that is his heritage. I went through his dad's entire genealogy. His family's from the deep south, right? They were indeed enslaved. They really...
How do you look up someone else's genealogy? Can you do that? How do you do that? That was a reach with the 37. Yeah, like, that's a fucking... Bro, come on, bro. Come the
had
fuck
it bad. And you can't remove that blood from Drake. So a lot of the things that Kendrick talks about is also Drake's heritage, and you can't take that away. Now let's finally get into the bars, and what you'll notice is that Drake includes the lyrics for the entire song with the video. So he doesn't want to get anything misconstrued. Like, here's the lyrics, here's what I mean, it's all right there for you guys.
I've emptied the clip over friendlier jabs. You mentioned my seed and I deal with his dad. I gotta go bad, I gotta go bad.
In the first line, Drake claims that he's emptied the clip over friendlier jabs, which to...
He's Vlad's cousin. Bro sitting right there counting the end. Yeah, that's even fucking funnier. 1, 2, 3. That's actually hilarious.
Me could...
Oh my gosh.
Only be one beef, and that was his back and forth with Meek Mill. Now, I don't feel like Meek going online and putting Drake on blast for having ghostwriters was really a friendly jab. In the second line, Drake directly responds to Kendrick's lines on Euphoria about his son Adonis, where Kendrick accused him of not instilling the same family values and more or less painted Drake.
Yo, that kid, that gotta be racist for him to have braids. That gotta be a little racist. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. His head... That's why he's crying right now. He's like, Dad, what the fuck did you put my braids like this?
As a dead...
Nah, shout out Adonis. Shout out Adonis.
Be dead.
That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that.
So in the last line, Drake says, I gotta go bad, which could be in reference to two things. First, and the most obvious, Drake's about to snap. He's about to black out.
He better not say bad as a reference to Michael Jackson. If he says bad as a reference to Michael Jackson... I'm turning this fucking video off.
And take things to a whole other level. Secondly, due to the Drake and Michael Jackson...
I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Oh my god, bro.
Jackson comparisons. Drake could be making a reference to MJ's 1987 hit Bad, where the theme of the record is essentially how Mike is a good guy, but he's now turning bad to fight against people that belittled and disrespected him. And it kind of reminded me of the feature that he did with Meek, that Going Bad feature.
Still going bad on you anyway.
Drake then picks right back up from where he left off with push-ups.
He's losing me with this analysis. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, drop.
Now, the moment he breaks into this melody, a shot is shown of a van resembling Kendrick's childhood van, famously covered on Good Kid, Mad City, being towed in Toronto with a clear image of the CN Tower in frame. Now, many people seem to believe that Drake physically somehow purchased Kendrick's family van, but this is simply not the case. As you can see, these vans are similar, but Kendrick's family van is a 96 Dodge Caravan, whereas the van in the video is a 96 Plymouth Voyager. You could see the trim difference.
Checking the genealogy is crazy.
It's just not the same van. And in the beginning, I was really surprised with Drake's lack of detail, because finding the exact same model would have been a way better flex, but I literally scoured the internet myself to try to find the same van to purchase, and it was pretty much...
Why put A need credit to Hollywood? Way too pedal. What the fuck are you saying? What does that mean?
Much impossible. I think Drake just found the
You gotta
closest
pay
thing
for the
that
genealogy. I don't even know how that shit works. How do you get someone else's? Is that legal? Did he break into his house?
he could, which was the Voyager, and it served its purpose for the video. Drake contracted a company by the name of Charisma Auto to transport this van, and I even dug up this company's TikTok account where they proudly announced their involvement. And as you could see, even the transport company itself clearly labels this van as a Voyager and not a Caravan.
Because if that's the case, I want to look up some people's genealogy too.
That is straight from the transport company, and they got to document the make and the model and all that shit. What's interesting about Charisma Auto is they only transport very high-end luxury exotic vehicles, and as you can see, Drake definitely has a rapport with this company, as they delivered at least 4 vehicles that I could find to him in the past. It's funny that Drake used this very high-end transport company. Like, I guarantee that van was like the shittiest thing that's ever been on that flatbed. Yeah, drive. So I actually did not cover these lyrics in my push-ups breakdown because I had a really good feeling that this would resurface in an upcoming track. And because I didn't cover it there, let's cover it now. Drake starts off begging Kendrick to drop, and you gotta keep in mind this was recorded before we heard Euphoria or 616. It was at this point where Drake showed...
I don't think it was fully recorded, but definitely partially recorded.
A lot of confidence.
Because a lot of this shit he responded with was shit that Drake said, shit that Kendrick said in his songs.
Information that he had, and he seemed to think that Kendrick wouldn't have much to say. He's pretty much saying, drop. I dare you to fucking drop. Do it.
He did just that.
Drake takes it all the
records is crazy.
way to Houston, which is where his mob ties with the Prince family resides.
Toll Records.
He makes a reference to a Houston strip club called Area 29, which is not only a place that he frequents, but an establishment that he seemingly blesses with hundreds of thousands of dollars every time he's there. And on the same day that the Push-Ups track dropped, the owner of Area 29's Instagram account posted this video with the caption, Push-Ups. They were probably really hyped to get mentioned in that record, and Drake's mentioned these guys before. I was really trying to keep it PG. Whoa. Drake claims that he was really trying to keep things PG, which is obviously an acronym for parental guidance in film, but it also acts as a double entendre as he's making a reference to Kendrick's record label, PG Lang.
Right.
Basically, Drake is saying that he really wanted to keep this record aimed at Kendrick only, but because all these artists dogpiled on top of him, he's forced now to deal with them too. He's saying he wanted to keep this PG, right? He wanted to keep this to just Kendrick, but now he's firing on everyone. If you had a set, they give your ass a DP. To civilian gang in real life, you PC. Now, the first thing I notice here is that for all the effort that went into making this video, Drake has the wrong lyrics on the screen. On the video, it's clearly written as, to civilian getting real like you PC. Civilian gang in real life, you PC. But hey, I'm probably the last person to cast judgment because you guys tell me in the comments every video of the spelling errors that I make. Now, some people seem to think that these lines were directed at Rick Ross, but this is 100% a shot at Kendrick. Drake claims that if Kendrick really had a set, meaning if he was really a gang member, they would give him a DP to knock his ass back in line. Now, a DP is synonymous in gang culture, and it's basically a form of disciplinary action. If a member gets out of line, misrepresents the gang, or puts the gang in harm's way, they're going to get the beats. And if you don't think Kendrick was acting a little bit hard or flexing some gang shit in his beef, just look at what he was saying. If he walk around with that stick, it ain't Andre 3K.
That doesn't sound very.
He's talking about the strap.
That's a K with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery.
More gun talk.
Extortion my middle name as soon as you jump off of that plane, bitch.
I mean, he's pretty much claiming that when Drake touches down, he's got to check in.
Blick niggas all in the coffin.
Again with the blicky.
Someone go bleed in your family, Crody. I'm
Someone is going to bleed in your family.
eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody.
Now he's talking about the Blammy. And although Kendrick claims to be a civilian himself, he doesn't play his hand as a civilian on these tracks, and Drake is pointing out that Kendrick is really a sweetheart, and all this tough talk is an act.
Now, I'm not one to harp on what people say in their lyrics and like really believe them. But if I had to put my money up, would I believe the nigga from Compton who got pyro ties, who got gang-related family members, or would I believe the nigga in Degrassi who was saying nigger with the hard R, or getting mad at his mom for not having the right bread? I don't know, but you can't put it past anybody to be on some shit. Slim Shady, believe it. Can I play through Cruising by Easy? Yeah, I'll stop doing this whole entire thing to listen to Eazy-E right now. Imagine
He
that.
refers to Kendrick as being a PC, which in prison stands for protective custody. This is where the most vulnerable inmates go, which often includes non-gang members to help protect them. Drake is basically saying that Kendrick isn't that guy, he never was that guy,
Right.
and he's very far removed from anything remotely close to gang life. Which is really a fact. I mean, Kendrick is not out here in the trenches. Let's just be real.
You know who really bang except my nigga YG?
Imagine a white guy telling you that you're not from the trenches, or you're not in the trenches.
So Drake makes a critical mistake here. He references YG as being a friend of his who is a full-on blood. I guess Drake really put a lot of stock into what he thought could have been their friendship, but YG is from the West Coast, a place that Drake mocked on Taylor Made. And it was only 20 days later where YG dropped a track that to me is a very obvious diss to Drake.
Weird ass nigga in your feelings about these bitches. Weird ass niggas off that perk, you be tripping.
So right off rip, you'll notice that YG also uses lyrics on the screen, which is unusual, as he's clearly mocking Drake's Family Matters video.
I don't know if that's clear, and I don't know if YG told the video editor to put those words to do this, because I feel like when you make these claims, we have to think about how it was orchestrated. Do you think YG was sitting there with his video editor like, okay, Drake used words on his video, so when I say this, put words on my video? I don't know how believable that is, but sure, let's go with it.
Furthermore, he uses words like "in your feelings," which is a reference to Drake's big hit.
When the smoke go
But like also, in your feelings is just a term that people use. Like, you in your feelings, bro. Every time someone says in your feelings, it's not a reference to a Drake song. Like, people use that word all the time. In the trenches, you can't even jump over the fences. Yeah, people use the term in your feelings outside of referencing Drake all the time, you know? That's like if someone says, I bought 50 pizzas on a song, and they're like, that's a reference to 50 Cent because his name is also 50. Like, make sure that it's not like a super reach, bro.
never mention my name. You gon' have me jeopardizing my fame, jeopardizing the game, jeopardizing when you hate, nigga.
And as you could see here, he's clearly not happy
So that part probably towards Drake.
about Drake mentioning his name in Family Matters.
But I don't think the words on the screen had anything to do with that.
Even if they are friends, which it looks like they aren't, roping YG into this thing was very miscalculated. And YG claimed this was
Blows raptioning is crazy.
wasn't about Drake. That is a lie. This
That's
is
mad
clearly
funny.
about Drake. The whole record has shots.
Are y'all subscribed, right, by the way? Y'all should subscribe to the channel, I feel like y'all should subscribe.
It's about Drake. In a war like this, you can't set yourself up for things to backfire on you like this.
That's a crazy
The
photo.
optics did not look good at all when we saw YG was front and center at Kendrick's pop-out show.
Right.
Now, I highly doubt YG will ever get any more features from Drake, so Hopefully that was worth it for him.
Basically,
we'll see in
other
time.
words.
You know who really bang except my nigga Chuck T.
Next, Drake makes reference to the game who actually has a relationship with both of these guys. Now, I gotta be honest, a lot of people gave the game relationship with...
I ain't gonna lie, that Stone Cold shirt that Drake got is hard as fuck. It's a hard shirt.
Both of these guys. Now, I gotta be honest, a lot of people gave the game flack for not showing up at the Pop-Out show, but I personally respect what the game did here. Much like many artists, Drake has done a lot for the game, and he's one of very few that really showed some loyalty here. I don't think it was necessary for him to turn on Drake. He stayed neutral throughout the entire beef, and hopefully Kendrick also understood.
You siding with this nigga and that nigga. When the fuck y'all heard me say a motherfucking thing about who I'm siding with or this and that, nigga? I'll be in my own lane chilling, nigga, taking care of my kids out the fucking way, nigga. That's how I made it this far in this fucking game.
You know who even bang a set out there is CB.
Drake then makes a reference to Chris Brown, and many might think this is a gimmick, but Chris really is a full-on Fruittown Pyru. And this is a really great little dig because Chris Brown is an R&B singer from Virginia, but unlike Kendrick, a Compton native who was only an affiliate, Chris is a full-on gang member. Drake is saying, like, you're so soft that even this R&B guy is harder than you. He's an actual gang member. And when it comes to Chris Brown, although he did have a heated beef with Drake...
That's a crazy photo of Chris Brown. I ain't gonna lie. Bandana with the... whatever this hairstyle is, nuts.
Drake that eventually got squashed. I believe he's also a neutral party in this beef. We got a video of Chris Brown bopping around in the club to Not Like Us.
How do you not though? How do you not do that when that song first came out?
But let's be real, like Not Like Us is a banger. Like
exactly.
It's hard not to bop your
That's
head.
what I'm saying. See, sometimes we be on the same page. How do you not do that?
It's pretty much impossible. And then it was just days later he was singing Drake on stage. And a lot of people seem to forget this, but Chris Brown did sort of pay homage to Drake on his diss to Quavo.
I ran your ass through the ringer, nigga. You just got body by a singing nigga.
So by Drake mentioning all three of
forgot about that beat.
These guys, he clearly thought that this was something he could lean on. He definitely felt like they were in his corner.
Nigga Cole losing sleep on this, it ain't me.
Unlike J. Cole, who apologized for his diss and said he was losing sleep over it, Drake does not have this issue, and no matter how you want to slice this, Drake is indeed slighting J. Cole with this line. Cole losing sleep on this, it ain't me. I do like that line. Now, as far as the visuals go for the video, we finally get to see the van being delivered to a crusher, and we can see a loader in the distance making its way through the scrapyard with the van.
You better have some paperwork or that shit fake T. Can't be rapping by no ratting that we can't read.
So this is a very surface level response to Kendrick's claims on Euphoria, where he compared Drake to Gunna for being a rat.
I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint.
However,
is that what that means to him? Is that what that means? I don't think that's what that means.
In hindsight, you'll notice later in this track that Drake accuses Kendrick of certain actions.
He was just saying, like, you think Gunna know some shit? Nigga, I know some shit. I think that's more of what he was saying.
That would also require documentation to really substantiate. Now, these guys are both guilty of this. They're both throwing accusations, allegations, whatever you want to call it, at each other with zero proof, zero paperwork, nothing.
I mean, it's true, a nigga slimy for my AP.
So let's finally put this thing to rest. Drake was robbed at gunpoint back in 2010 after leaving a restaurant with a woman by the name of Chantel Brown. They stole a chain which was gifted from Wayne, an AP watch, and $2,000. The thieves quickly got caught by police because they were going down the wrong way of a one-way street. How the police got the information to identify these men is unclear, but the two suspects were identified as Socrates Carell and Paul Letou. The charges were later dropped, and the two men pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. Now, shortly after these charges were laid, some paperwork did leak, and I'm not 1090 Jake, but as it's written here, there's nothing indicating that Drake spoke to authorities. And just so you know, in Canada, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but you don't have a choice. Like the cops, police, they lay the charge.
What's good, Danilo? Danilo? Did y'all hear that loud ass thud just now? That was my fucking cat running full force into my door. Why does he keep doing that? The door's not gonna open, it's locked.
You could even tell him.
I remember back then I was deep on the song. Started from the bottom, was fire.
No, I don't want to cooperate. I don't want to press charges.
Shout out Hollow the Don for giving that beat to Drake.
I don't want to. Don't matter. The police are the ones who make the call. So in my very honest opinion, it's highly likely that Drake refused to cooperate, which caused the prosecution's case to be very weak. It's for this reason that the Crown was forced to accept a plea deal where the suspects pleaded to a lesser charge. I'm going to say there's a 95% chance that that is what happened.
And I made the decision to not put those guys away, to not go to trial, you know, despite whatever. And I don't know what anybody else is talking about, but it's public record in Canada. You can see I wasn't there. I was in Miami. I wasn't at the trial.
So it seems like Drake even tried to be out of the country just so he didn't have to deal with this. And I know people were saying that Drake was corny for taking lyrics from Kendrick's Mr. Morale and using it against him, but Kendrick is essentially doing the same with this very...
That's not corny at all. That's what you're supposed to do.
Public info, as Drake has mentioned this robbery on several tracks himself.
Maybe it was the fast-paced switch up or the two guns in my face during the stick up.
And Drake makes it clear that the girl that he was with set him up.
Maybe cause a girl I thought I trusted was who set the whole shit up. But
and he mentioned it again on From Florida with Love.
Easy play that shit for me and Kobe on the bus. When it got a chain from me, I had to give it up.
So he's talked about losing the chain from Wayne.
Niggas had they pistols loaded, pointed in my truck.
He then goes on to say that he's learned from this and that it hasn't happened since.
On that day I never touched a road without a blood. Hasn't happened since, I guess you niggas know what's up.
As far as Chantel, Socrates, and Paul, I can't find any information about these suspects. I don't know if they're dead. I don't know if they changed their names. There is nothing on these people.
Just like how Metro niggas sliding for his main squeeze.
Drake gets really petty here, making the claim that Metro Boomin's girlfriend, who goes by the name of Chelsea Cotton, slept with one of his close friends. Now, Metro was quick to take to Instagram in an attempt to debunk these claims, saying, "Nobody ever hit my girl. We grew up together. She's a real woman."
I'm reading it, bro.
And she's not even in the industry. Now, the friend that I think he could be talking about that slept with her.
Nah, this dude don't know what he's talking about. He's a cheesy motherfucker. A lot of his points are reachy. Some of them do make sense to me, but a lot of it is like, what the fuck, bro?
His future. In the line, Drake is really messing with Metro's head as he ensures to make use of the word slime, and it was just 2 months prior that Metro and Future released a song called Slimed In.
That's my shit,
now,
too.
this of course could really be a reach, but it is possible that Drake is making a reference to Future sleeping with Metro's girl. And it could be directed at anyone close to Metro, but I felt like the Future thing is the only compelling thing that I could find. As far as the visuals go, it's at this point where the loader heads towards the van and positions the forks to begin the lift.
Out here begging for attention, nigga, say please.
It's with this line where Drake circles back to exactly what he's been saying for a very long time.
The motherfucker that found Drake's dad DNA and genealogy couldn't find 2 open record criminals. That is kind of crazy.
Long time. After
Maybe they just don't have any social media or anything. I don't know.
Controverse, Drake claimed multiple times that Kendrick was doing these kinds of things to get attention.
Like being the talk of Twitter for like 5 days, you know.
But you see, Drake is pretty much saying, okay, little bro, I know you don't got no motion right now. I know you're cold as ice. Your last album didn't do well. You're looking for some attention.
His last album did pretty good, though. You know? It was one that tour did pretty good.
If you say please, maybe I'll give it to you. And again, J. Cole said the exact same thing.
If he wasn't dissing, then we wouldn't be discussing him.
But like, To Pimp a Butterfly was a great album. Damn was a great album. and he wasn't involved in any beef during those. You know, I don't know.
They're basically saying it's only you that does these little stunts for attention, and they don't respect it.
Always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. You just acting like an activist. It's make believe.
Drake claims that Kendrick's whole entire persona is one massive grift, and he's had similar subliminal shots towards Kendrick that I showed you guys in a video 8 months ago.
Fake woke niggas, fake beef. You ain't no favor for me. Yeah, your ass a little sneak peek, yeah.
Now, the first line did not sit well with a lot of people, and coming off Kendrick's claims on Euphoria about how Drake is disconnected from the culture, this line seemingly supported Kendrick's narrative. However, I don't feel like Drake is saying anything disrespectful about the conscious hip-hop that Kendrick does. What he's really doing here is saying that Kendrick is fake. When you look at these two lines in conjunction, I honestly don't think Drake is downplaying slavery here at all. What Drake really means by this is that the subject matter of Kendrick's music is all for show.
But like, what really is the... All right, if we look... Let me pull it up real quick, because I did this before. To Pimp a Butterfly. All right, if you've heard To Pimp a Butterfly, track list. If you heard To Pimp a Butterfly, that album, everything that put out is fire. Drake is mainstream. Two totally different artists. The dudes love Drake on one sided. I'm gonna come back to that point, but if you look at To Pimp a Butterfly, that whole album is basically Kendrick's struggle with stepping into being famous, letting go of old Kendrick, and like how he grew up, and coming into the industry where he doesn't really know or trust what's going on. And then there's like themes of like selling your soul, the whole Lucy character, and how he like navigates this like newfound success and fame and money and all this stuff about still trying to remain true to himself. That's what To Pimp a Butterfly is about. This album isn't about the black struggle in America, or like he does have a couple songs like that, but for the entire project, it's not that. The first song, Wesley's Theory, it's literally basically everything I just explained. The whole narrative on that project is like, what you want? You a house? You a car? Drake is in the music. Tell you anything. See, my name is Uncle Sam. I'm your dog. Like that whole section is a pretty much a good summary of what that album is about. For Free, King Kunta, Institutionalized, These Walls, You, Alright, For Sale, Mama, Hood Politics, How Much a Dollar Costs, Complexion, Black of the Berry, You Ain't Gotta Lie, and then Mortal Man. Out of all those songs, maybe like, let's see, Institutionalized a little bit, Hood Politics a little bit, and then like Complexion and the Black of the Berry a little bit. So like really like 4 songs is like about like blackness, but it's not even blackness in the sense of like, we the people, let's free the slaves, fuck the man. Like it's not even like, it's not about that. I feel like people who have that perception of To Pimp a Butterfly, they don't listen to the actual lyrics and understand the concept of the album. And then even the last song where he's talking to Tupac, he isn't talking to Tupac about how do we, improve as a people and unite and become one. And, that conversation is a summary of the album, and it's not about freeing the slaves or being an activist. It's not that at all. Even the song All Right, people always point to that song All Right. If you listen to the verses are not about activism, bro. Like, the only thing activism about that song is the fact that he says we gonna be all right, and then like a little bit of a reference to like police brutality. But the verses, and when I wake up, I recognize you looking at me for the pay cut. He's talking about like his money and fame and his industry standing. I'm going on too much of a long tangent. Let's go back to the video.
And that he's a grifter. And look, it's not my place to tell anyone how they should
That
feel
is
about
so
this line, but
facts.
I just feel Drake isn't downplaying the message. He's downplaying the messenger. And when those two lines are together, that's his goal, to paint Kendrick as being fake. And J. Cole again shared the exact same sentiments as what Drake had.
Niggas fake, progressive, and woke. I started saying less. I had to stop it. Peeped how they profit off of racial stress.
When you actually take what Drake said and align it with what Cole is saying,
I would love for them to apply it to some lyrics, though. You know what I mean? Thank you for saying good rant. But like when they say he's being, that's another thing when I said, I don't know if you guys were here earlier when I said this, but like I feel like in this beef a lot, Drake just said his point and didn't expound on his point. Saying you're fake woke isn't as good as saying you're fake woke. Here are some examples of why you're fake woke. Here are some contradictory things that you do. This goes against what you said here. This goes against what you said here. This is why you're fake woke. When you put all of that together, it makes more of a point than just saying you're fake woke. Tell me how I'm fake woke. That's how you win an argument. That's how you win a debate. You say, imagine if you go watch a scientific or religious debate or like any type of debate and they say, you're wrong. And then that's it. That's not a point. Yeah, of course you can say I'm wrong, but what do you have to substantiate that point? Nothing. You can't just say some arbitrary point and not have anything to substantiate that point. When Kendrick says you're a colonizer, he goes into a whole thing about how he goes to Atlanta. He gets slang from certain artists. He gets features for certain artists. These artists bring him to the clubs and shit. That's an example of a point. Drake saying Adonis should not be like you when he grows up. He doesn't just say that point. He says your dad got peed on. Your dad gets surgery instead of having hard discipline and working out. Like, he has points to why he's saying these things. He doesn't just say the thing. That is how Kendrick won this beef, bro. He substantiated his points with supporting evidence. When you say someone is fake woke, at least have an example of how they're fake woke. Because if you just say the shit, it's like, cool. What else? You know what I mean?
these lines are pretty much identical because they both refer to Kendrick as someone that profits off of racial tension, but Cole really drives this home even further in the next two lines.
Some activists got so rich they probably wish we stay oppressed. Studio steppers moving extra on songs fake and rep.
So Cole makes a reference to Kendrick's album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and suggests that K-Dot is faking the funk for money, and it's in this first bar where it's even more similar to Drake's line, as they are both saying the exact same thing here. It's fairly apparent that both J. Cole and Drake aren't shooting shots at the subject matter itself, but more at the person who's delivering it, as they see it as a grift. And that's not the last time that J. Cole called Kendrick a fraud.
Your arms might be too short to box with the God who live his life without the pressures of a constant facade.
So Cole and Drake are saying the exact same thing. This dude is a grifter.
Yes. Talking shit. And even if Kendrick's points aren't like 100% facts, right? That gives Drake more credence to his points. It's just that you have to flesh it out. Like, for example, in The Heart Part 6, Drake goes and says, like, the people you got your information from, they're clowns. But then goes on to say, we gave you false information. Contradiction. But to play devil's advocate, if Drake gave him that fake information, make a point out of it. Flesh that shit out. Don't just say, we gave you fake information. Like, you telling me you set up a booby trap for me. Please, bro, I'm not spamming. Why would I stop what I'm doing to play this instrumental? I'm clearly in the middle of a video response. But like I was saying, to say I set up a trap for you, I fell for the trap, quote unquote, and then you don't do shit with that, that's like a negative point at that point. You fell for my trap that I'm not going to do anything with. Like, what the fuck?
Don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees.
Drake makes a direct reference to Kendrick's big hit Money Trees and claims that he doesn't go back to his neighborhood to spread the wealth.
Money trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel.
Now, I think everyone knows that Kendrick has a long history of giving back to Compton and LA in general. I could make a whole other video about this, and maybe sometime I will. But let's just say that he's given back hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions. He's definitely amazing with charity, but there's more to it than just that. Planting money trees isn't just about donating to charities for a potential tax break. What I think Drake really means here is he's talking about things like, what businesses has Kendrick created in his community? Based on my research, he owns PG Lang, and that's pretty much it. So Drake makes a pretty solid point here. If you want to talk about giving back to people on the West.
Now see, another example of a good point that fell through by not what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, he didn't do it right. Like, he didn't execute it properly. That's the word. He didn't execute the point correctly. Saying you don't plant no money trees, good point. What would have been better is by saying, I did this in Toronto. I put these students through school in Toronto. I opened up these businesses. I opened up these grocery stores. I helped out this hospital's funding. I did this and this and this. I even in LA did this and this and this. What did you do? That would have been a better point than just saying, you don't give back to your community. That's just saying the thing. If he would have just did all those things I just said, if he would have shown an example of how I did this, I did this, I did this for my people. What did you do for your people, Kendrick, besides PG Lang that didn't do anything? What's up with people spamming my chat? Would you rather smash Lola Bunny or Judy Hopps? I don't know who Judy Hopps is, but I don't know, bro. I don't fucking know.
Look no further than what the late, great Nipsey Hussle did. Nip created multiple businesses, truly growing money trees on his home soil. This is one of the best investments that you could do for your community, as it not only provides goods and services for the people, but it creates job opportunities. This man had restaurants, barbershops, full-on education programs for kids of color, affordable housing. He was trying to work with police to help with gang violence.
Now see, if Drake said, even if Drake did that, even if Drake showed what Nipsey did for his community and then what Kendrick didn't do, even if he did that, that would have been a better point than just saying, you don't do shit. Like, Drake needs to execute his points better.
Nipsey was planting money trees.
Judy Hopps is the rabbit from why the fuck would I smash a fictional rabbit, bro? I'm not into fucking that. I'm not a furry. The answer is neither, bro. What the fuck are you what the fuck?
He's left, right, and center, and he even planned to roll out some of these programs in other states in America. And then there's
Drake
another layer of planting money trees. The question needs to be asked, what has Kendrick done for West Coast rappers? What is he doing to put money into the pockets of LA artists? What is he doing to find the next Kendrick Lamar? The answer is not as much as you would expect.
And beautiful points. That's a good ass point that Drake could have used, but he didn't use it properly.
Excluding features,
it's would you rather. You have to pick one. I'm not gonna pick one, bro.
That he's done with his label mates on TDE.
Drake couldn't articulate none of that because his ghostwriter, I think he meant, was saving it for the rebuttals that never came out. Yeah, like, bro, Drake. There's so many angles he could have taken against Kendrick. And actually, he took a lot of angles against Kendrick, but like you said, and like I've been saying, he didn't articulate his points well enough. I'm getting a FaceTime. Should I answer this FaceTime live? Nah, I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna just tell her I'm streaming. Sorry, y'all. Streaming right now. What's up? Yeah, he didn't articulate his points. Rick Ross been writing his shit for years. Imagine.
It really shouldn't count. Kendrick's discography isn't exactly the definition of promote.
And you know what? I wasn't gonna say anything about the ghostwriters because like whatever. Like no one cares about my opinion on ghostwriters, clearly. Answer after searching. I'm not doing it. Keep your money, bro. Keep your money. That might be the thing that you also have to take into consideration when these two make songs against each other, because Drake, for the latter part of his career, the majority of his music wasn't like delving deep into topics and like really like making great songs. A lot of them were just making hit songs. So like that kind of like fast-paced type of structure of a song by just like saying things and not really delving too deep into them, that works for hit songs. That works when it's just fast-paced in the club, not really paying attention to music. But when you're in the rap beef going against somebody who's been methodical and all his albums are just like, I'm making a song about this. I always tell people, like, when you listen to music, ask yourself, what is this song about? And if you can't come up with anything, it's not that good of a song. It could be enjoyable, but like if that song doesn't have a point, if you can't say this song is about this, like Auntie Diaries is about something. You feel me? Mirror is about something. Crown these are all songs from Mr. Morale. Crown is about something. Fucking Father Time is about something. Kendrick makes songs about stuff. Drake makes songs about things, but a lot of his songs are just, he flows really well on the beat. He has good rhyme structure. His rhyme patterns are actually ridiculous. Like, he can rhyme syllables crazy. Or whoever's writing his shit. But, Incognito, bro, shut up. Yeah, that's the difference between the two artists, and it shows in this beef that Drake is still has that structure of just like hit song, not like diving deep and making a big point. Cause like Meet the Grams will never be a hit song, but the way that song was written, Dear Adonis, Dear Sandra, Dear whatever his father's name is, Dear Baby Girl, Dear Aubrey, like the way that song was structured, it was super well written. You feel me? And Drake hasn't, like, I don't think he's thought that hard about making a song outside of this beef. You know what I mean? For a while. Like, don't get me wrong, because I know people like to think in literal words and not hyperbole, because a lot of this shit is hyperbolic speaking. I'm not saying Drake literally doesn't ever think about his music. I know that he does. But what I'm saying is the level of writing and the level of creativity and why artists like Kendrick take breaks between albums to really make an album that matters and makes sense, and like every song means something and it's like deeply written. That's the difference right there.
Voting West Coast artist. There's a lot of budding MCs coming out of LA right now, and not only has Kendrick not planted any money trees for them, he's hardly even planted a seed. It's the small things like this that Kendrick Lamar lacks, and Drake makes a very good point. One could even argue that Kendrick's strategy with his pop-out show was a way to address narratives like this one. Again, if we're talking West Coast, look at Nipsey. Look at Nip. Look, when you're a multimillionaire, throwing money at charities is not all that difficult when there's real groundwork that needs to be laid, and Nip had his footprints all over it as he was really doing everything in his power for his community. See, like I said before, a big part of Drake's strategy with this record is to paint Kendrick as a hypocrite. As far as the visuals, at this point the van has been completely removed from the back of the trailer and is sitting on the forks of the loader. Now, I can't speculate what that man does behind the scenes. Kendrick could be doing a lot. I'm just giving theories to what I think Drake could be talking about, and he's more or less just calling him a grifter. He's saying Kendrick's music and the message within it, as powerful as it is, it seems to stop there. There's no follow-up, there's no real action. You're just profiting off this, you're not really doing the groundwork. That's what I get from it. And look, without music, I probably wouldn't even be here. So I'm the last guy that's going to downplay the power that music has to influence people and influence change. It's a very powerful tool.
Say you hate the girls I fuck, but what you really mean?
It's here where Drake begins to rebuttal Kendrick's comments on Euphoria.
He hate the bitches you fuck cause they confuse themselves with real women.
And next we get a pretty crazy flip.
I've been with black and white and everything that's in between.
Drake comes through with the
terrible point. Terrible line. Terrible. That one shouldn't have been there.
Facts, as he does have a wide range of past women from every ethnicity. It's here where Drake begins to frame his angle as Kendrick really being envious of the life that Drake so freely lives. He begins to portray that Kendrick's issue isn't with the women Drake is involved with, but more about the fact that he can't openly engage in the same behavior himself.
You the black messiah wifing up a mixed queen.
Drake points out that the guy who is seemingly very pro-black has wifed up a mixed woman. Now, certain people are against race mixing and they've got their own reasons. It's not something that I subscribe to. To me, love is love, and I believe Kendrick has a similar stance. And the facts are, there simply isn't any supporting lyrics or public statements from Kendrick that's opposed to race mixing. This angle would have been great if Kendrick was out here acting like Dr. Umar, but that's just not the case. In fact, I see it as the opposite.
Hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem.
Now this one is good. Drake uses Kendrick's own words against him as he admitted to sleeping with white women himself.
The first time I fucked a white bitch, I was 16 at the Palisades.
He didn't stop there, except this time he admits to cheating on Whitney with a white chick.
Next time I fucked a white bitch was out in Copenhagen. Good kid, Mad City tour. I flourished on them stages.
And for those that want to say that he wasn't with Whitney at this time, that may be possible, but it was just over a year later where again, he hides behind this high school sweetheart fairy tale.
But Kendrick has his longtime girlfriend that he's been with since the beginning, right, Kendrick?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So he's not worried about that.
He know all your business.
That's the one you ride out with.
And nobody can hit it.
So in this interview, like many others, he's claiming that he's been with Whitney this whole time. And we're going to get into a lot of those inconsistencies very soon. And of course, when Drake claims that Kendrick hit Vanilla Cream to help out his self-esteem, this also rings true as Kendrick admitted this himself.
Insecurities that I project sleeping with other women. Whitney's hurt, the pure soul I know.
So I think Kendrick means women in general, not just white women. But whether you like this or not or want to admit it, what Drake is saying here is indeed valid.
Also, Bobby shit, I wanna know what.
Alright, Rodney, be safe, bro.
All that puppy love was over in y'all late teens.
Drake comes in with some shots as Kendrick and Whitney started dating in high school, and young love is usually very strong, hence the reference to puppy love. It's here where Drake also makes a reference to Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown's toxic relationship, drawing parallels between the two. Drake compares both relationships here as being extremely toxic and is likely alluding to the allegations of domestic abuse. However, another layer comes into play when we look at Whitney Houston's massive hit, All the Man That I Need, as it's on this record where Whitney is describing the perfect partner, where the lyrics describe how the man fulfills her emotional needs, provides love, security, and makes her feel
I think this is a little reachy too.
Complete. So Drake is saying that Whitney is not getting any of these things from Kendrick, right?
Why you
never hold your son and tell him say cheese.
At the time of this track, Drake...
That's so crazy. That's what I mean by like poorly written.
Drake seemed to have assumed that Kendrick was never seen with...
Like, say cheese just to keep the rhyme pattern going is nuts, bro.
...his new child. But this is in fact false, as I found a video of Kendrick feeding him.
We're on track 3. Hey, give me that thing.
And also, not for nothing, why is that like a requirement to be a parent, that you have to show your kids off on social media? I don't think that's how that works.
We could have left the kids out of this, don't blame me.
Drake brings up how Kendrick made mention to his son Adonis on Euphoria.
That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that.
And it's because of that where Drake says, okay, now it's fair game.
You a dog and you know it, you just play sweet.
So this line is actually pretty impactful and 100% true, but it'll make a lot more sense if I explain it in a few more bars.
Your baby mama captions always screaming, save me.
Drake continues to dish out more shots, as when we look at Whitney's captions on Instagram, they don't seem to scream happy relationship by any means. Now, she is a new mother, right? So she could have went through postpartum depression. Those posts don't mean that that's about their relationship. As far as the visuals go, it's at this point where the loader heads towards the crusher with the van on its forks.
You did it dirty all your life, you tryna make peace.
Drake makes the claim that Kendrick has been doing Whitney dirty his whole life. Alright, so let's just look at the timeline of all the times that Kendrick did Whitney dirty that we know of. It was back in 2010 where Kendrick spoke about just how poorly he treated her while Whitney stayed at home
And she know they got me. I watch her feelings watch me as they staring with the saddest eyes of loneliness.
Now, you could say this is just him telling a story and it's not about them, but we can at least admit at the very minimum that the parallels are interesting. And he would only go on to break more promises, as at the end of this record, he commits to being faithful to her from that point on.
So to what's important in my life, I apologize. I promise to stay faithful, focused, and sanctified.
So even from a very early point here, we have Kendrick admitting to wrongdoings on a record, and because he apologizes for things like this and comes off as sincere, fans seemingly give this behavior a pass. But bro, he apologized. He admitted it. Like, that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change the fact that he was sliming her pretty bad. It doesn't. There's also the fact that if we're going to overanalyze and critique every single thing that Drake says and does and use it against him to support whatever narrative there may be, then we have to do it here as well. It's only fair. Unless, of course, you're a deranged, insane superfan. Then you probably wouldn't agree, but most people would. Continuing on with the timeline, we now need to look at Kendrick's lyrics on Mr. Morale, as it gives context to another incident in 2012.
I met her on the third night of Chicago, North America tour, my eye glow. V545, she was a model, eyes like green penetrate.
Kendrick refers to his North American tour and states that he met a woman on the third night of Chicago.
What do you think about the Coup de Grace Eminem album? Still at least once. I got a lot of negative feedback from my review of that album. I liked the second half of the album a lot more than the first half. The first half was like pretty bad to me, but it started picking up towards the middle to the late part of the album. I think isn't he dropping like a deluxe version or some shit like that, or like a part 2. I don't know, but the first one, didn't like the first half of the album. Second half was cool. You know what's funny, Evo? I think I've listened to every Eminem album other than Music to Be Murdered By Part 2 or something like that. I didn't listen to that one, but I listened to... Bro, you can't hate on M. A lot of people think I hate Eminem because I didn't like that last album. But Eminem's one of those artists, at least for me, like, when Eminem drops, I'm gonna listen to it just because it's Eminem, bro.
Now, when I looked into this, I found that he's referring to the Pitchfork Music Festival, which took place in Chicago in 2012, where he did indeed...
Me too, but he's not Daily Dope. Yeah. He's not. He's not a daily artist for me either. There are songs and albums that I like to listen to every now and then. Like Recovery is my favorite Eminem album. Every now and then I put that shit on, but yeah, he's not in the rotation every day.
He'd perform on the third night.
Then again, no one really is in the rotation every day. I always listen to different shit every day.
And admits to sleeping with this woman.
Green Eye said you be okay. First to a sex to pain away.
And it was literally just 1 month before that festival where Kendrick claimed that he was still with his long-term girlfriend and that he doesn't do any dirt while on tour.
I know you thought about smashing Angela.
No, he has a girlfriend. You still have a girlfriend, right?
Right.
Yeah, he laughed.
Right. I know the black hippies get a lot of groupies, so I know you on the road doing your dirt.
I know that has to
Does
be
your
tough.
girlfriend understand?
I mean, it's not really dirt. I'm just chilling. I don't be messing with the groupies like that.
Then I found a tweet from Whitney's sister, which was 2 months after the festival, where she said, "He's been with my sister since high school. He's family. So when it comes to Drake's claims of doing Whitney dirty, this acts as another check mark in the timeline." And this is why Drake said you like to play sweet a few bars earlier. Now we can explain that. Drake cleverly plays...
That doesn't need an explanation. I feel like that's very cut and dry what the fuck that means, bro. It doesn't need an explanation. A lot of these things don't need an explanation. Like it's very there. It's right in front of your face, bro. It's not cryptic.
Off his previous Puppy Love line to claim that Kendrick is a complete dog when it comes to women. And even 13 years ago, it was on the Buried Alive track where Kendrick is talking all about how he can't wait for his music to pop off so that he can live like Drake and smash groupies.
Red, I'ma go and get some head off the strength of my music. I tell a bad bitch, yo ass too fat, capitalize that. And your weave look good with the Indian track.
So 13 years ago, Kendrick is saying he wants to get some head off the strength of his music, which is exactly what he did, as just 1 year and 8 months later, he would cheat on Whitney and dipped into the vanilla cream.
To be fair, this guy did the same thing for a Kendrick song. Like he did the same breakdown for 616, and he gave Kendrick a lot of credit too. So I can't say that. He's trying to be partial.
At a festival in Copenhagen. Nah, the crowd was different in Copenhagen, babe. Like they really do love me out here. It's crazy. And of course, Kendrick had to frame those lyrics like he had big plans of messing with thick queens with the weave looking on point, but in reality, he was gripping on a blonde ponytail and balls deep in skinny white ass. I mean, Kendrick might just be a milkman, right? A closeted milkman.
And after that, it's over. You wake up and you don't even know what you done.
I missed the show. I wish they'd bring it back. But leave some of your favorite moments in the comments, and I guarantee I'll get them.
You had a boo.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was rumors that you guys got engaged.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
Congratulations,
Appreciate
man.
that. Yeah, I'm loyal to the soil.
Yeah, I got engaged, and I'm also really loyal too, by the way. Like, that's just, I'm Kendrick.
Good point, but it's how you rap it is the thing.
Fast forwarding in the timeline, that interview that you just saw was in April 2015, where he claims that he's loyal to the soil. However, it's presumed that during that long break between Damn and Mr. Morale, that even more complicated family matters took place.
Insecurities that I project sleeping with other women. Whitney's hurt, the pure soul I know. I found her in the kitchen.
And Whitney did appear to leave him during this period.
But Whitney's gone. By the time you hear this song, she did all she could.
So that 5-year gap between Damn and Mr. Morale seems to be where the more complicated family matters took place. And Kendrick's claims of being with his high school sweetheart from the jump was seemingly another lie, as we heard from Nitty Scott that she was in a relationship with Kendrick for a full year.
So shout out to Kendrick, that's the homie. Yeah, we had a brief thing.
Oh, okay. Kendrick, she got cute. I ain't gonna lie. Kendrick pulling.
It wasn't like a long-term relationship. The way I heard it was like, yo, she used to fuck with Kendrick. It wasn't like, yo, you were his like.
I'll put it like I'll say like that was my boo. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my thing. I was seeing him and him only for at least a year.
I think we can all agree in here that the high school sweetheart thing has been great for Kendrick, right? Right, good look. So I think we just ignore this. So it's here where we close the timeline on the relationship, and it's understood that Kendrick admitted to some of these things himself, but this line from Drake is about the cycle of doing Whitney dirty.
Bro, I fuck with you, but Whitney ain't letting you hit. Who are you talking to, me? I ain't trying to fuck Whitney. Huh? What? You talking about Kendrick? I don't know what you're talking about.
And by all accounts, this is extremely accurate. But bro, he said he's not your savior. Like, guys, I know about Mr. Morale, but that doesn't change the fact that what Drake is saying here is true. He treated her poorly. Being with his high school sweetheart was part of Kendrick's brand, as it made him look like he was different than all the other rappers because he didn't change with the money and fame. It made him look loyal, but this isn't what took place at all. We heard it a million times, right? Oh, Kendrick is really genuine. He's not like the other guys. He's still with his high school girl.
Oh, it's on the white dude.
Girlfriend. He's genuine. It's within this first verse from Drake where he indicates that Kendrick is just...
Yo, I hate... One of my least favorite effects on YouTube is the paper background with the little moving around front image.
Truly envy.
I hate that shit, bro. That editing style is on every single video of all time. The company man just killed Dirt. The company man. Oh, I did hear about that. Let me see. The company man. My response to what? Oh, this is another 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna get to that. We're gonna get there.
Is of the life that Drake lives. 13 years ago, Kendrick claimed he essentially wanted Drake's life, and Drake frames it like that didn't change. Drake has always had the freedom to sleep with any woman he wants, and while Kendrick positioned himself for over a decade as an honest and faithful guy to his high school girlfriend, this is simply not the case, as he was really moving more similar to Drake.
That edit style is so overused, bro. Like, hip-hop media platform uses that fucking paper and the little picture be like this. I fucking hate that shit, bro.
Than what people would like to admit. Drake is basically saying, you always wanted to live the life that I lived. You did live the life that I lived. You just hid it from the world behind a sweetheart persona.
I heard that one of them little kids might be day free.
Okay, so first, to better understand this line, we need to look at what was said by both artists on the diss tracks that came before. On Push Ups, Drake started out the track with the Who Kid drop, which was something that none of us understood at the time. From there, he threw insults regarding Kendrick's height, said that his last album bricked, that TDE was extorting him, and he had the line about bodyguards with Whitney. Then he dropped Tailor Made. On Tailor Made, he used an AI Snoop and Tupac to mock Kendrick, questioned his authenticity, claimed he was powerless to Taylor Swift, and he ended off the track by claiming that Kendrick was in his New York apartment, struggling. And then Kendrick said this on Euphoria.
If you take it there, I'm taking it further. That's something you don't want to do.
Okay, so the question is, take what where, take what further? What did Drake say in those two tracks that would make Kendrick react like this? Well, there's only two answers. Something to do with the Who Kid drop.
Alright, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm about to speed this video up a little bit. Just a little bit.
Which would indicate that he picked up on what it meant. Or something to do with Whitney. Kendrick is reacting to something here. It's either the bar about Whitney or the bar about the kid. It's one of the two. Right. Objectively speaking, it appears that Kendrick recognizes Drake has something on him, as he's deemed it significant enough to issue a threat.
We ain't gotta get personal. This is a friendly fade. You should keep it that way.
I don't think we should take it there. Let's just keep it friendly. Like, I mean, he says it twice. There's zero doubt in my mind that Kendrick picked up on the fact that Drake had something on him. 100%. Now, as far as this Day Free line, I'm not sure where Drake heard this rumor, but he claims that one of Kendrick's kids might not be his, and due to the reference to the son just a few bars earlier, it's presumed this is who he's talking about. Now, to me, it's obvious that both children belong to Kendrick, as they clearly possess a number of his facial features, However, Drake only insinuates that this might be the case, which really makes me believe that at the very least, Drake is claiming that Whitney and Dave could have been messing around. I'd be pretty much shocked if the kids weren't Kendrick's. Like, to me, we don't need a DNA test here. However, there's no solid evidence that Whitney and Dave were ever involved, and it seems unlikely given how close Kendrick is with Dave. They continue to collaborate, even on significant ventures like partnering for PG Lang. So because this was supposed to be like the knockout punch for Drake, like he put a lot of stock in this info, I don't think he just made this up out of thin air. I think someone told him this, and he bought it. He believed it. Now, for me personally, I don't feel like the Not Like Us video proves that Kendrick and Whitney are still together. This is just my take, but I believe they separated a while ago, and the Mr. Morale album was a form of therapy for them, and I do believe they are now co-parenting. That's just my opinion, guys. I do think Drake got this part right, but we'll see in time. At the end of the day, Kendrick is the father of her children. She knew him since high school, and Drake did drag her into this beef, so I can't see why she wouldn't help Kendrick out with the video.
Fabricating stories on the family front.
Facts, bro.
Mr. Morale.
And I truly believe that lines like this one acted as a safety net, as it was Kendrick's way of trying to get ahead of these things.
Should I boost it up to 1.5?
Before they came out. Me personally, I believe that there just might be a layer of truth mixed in there somewhere that Kendrick recognized he needed to step on. As far as Whitney sleeping with another man besides Kendrick, I saw people acting as if this was impossible, but I do feel like the psychological damage that Kendrick did to her throughout his own infidelity would cause many women to seek that affection from someone else. I mean, come on now, guys. Like, if you treat a woman like that for as long as he did, do you really think it's a 0% possibility that she might just eventually veer off with someone else? So, speaking on the relationship as a whole, I believe these kids are Kendrick, but I'm also not going to rule out that there just might be a layer of truth in here somewhere that Kendrick did a very good job of stepping on. When you really look at the information and the situation as a whole, what I just said is not a crazy take to have. I think Kendrick's strategy of painting Drake as a liar and a manipulator and constantly driving that home, I think all that was done with a great deal of intent, and it was very effective, right?
If your GM is your BM secret BD, then this is all making plenty fucking sense to me.
Drake claims that if Kendrick's general manager, Dave Free, is the real father of his child, then everything is starting to add up. The long wait in between Damn and Mr. Morale, the subject matter of Mr. Morale, the turmoil between Whitney and Kendrick, all now seems to add up for Drake.
Let that shorty breathe, shake that ass, bitch. Hands on your knees, shake that ass for Drake, now shake that ass for free.
So it's here where Drake flips one of Kendrick's funniest lines from Euphoria.
When I see you stand by sexy red, I believe you see two bad bitches. I believe you don't like women. It's real competition. You might pop past with them.
When I heard these shots from Kendrick, I wondered how Drake would go about flipping this, and he does a pretty good job by playing off his previous track, Rich Baby Daddy, with Sexy Red.
Bend that ass over. Let that coochie breathe.
Drake starts off the line by saying, "Let that shorty breathe," possibly alluding to Kendrick being controlling in the relationship. It is a decent little flip as he ties it into the Dave Free and Whitney allegations, and this really could have been a crowd-pleasing moment had Kendrick not stepped on this track so quickly. This was supposed to be Drake live, putting the mic out, and everyone singing this part back. At this point in the video itself, the van has now been placed inside the Crusher, and something else I wanted to add about this video is the fact that it's very low budget. It almost looks like it was filmed with cell phones, and when we think of how Kendrick approaches his music videos, they're extremely cinematic, and I think Drake could be doing this to kind of mock him. I'm not even saying that's a thing, that's just something that I noticed.
Yeah, we're not that kind of free, I'm talking about my nigga Dave.
Drake proceeds to mock Kendrick by explaining the previous line, basically saying that Whitney doesn't need to shake ass for nothing, meaning she doesn't need to do it for free, she needs to shake it for Dave Free.
Yo man, a Lil K, we call this shit a mini Drake.
Drake makes a reference to a mini Draco gun, which is a smaller version of a regular Draco. It's here where he positions Kendrick as someone that he doesn't even see as a man, but more of a little kid. There's also the fact that the Draco was inspired by the AK-47, so really this little K line has three meanings, being 1, Lil Kendrick, 2, Lil Kid, and 3, it's a direct reference to the Draco being inspired by the AK-47 itself. This is both a clever way of pointing out Kendrick's short stature and also a way of calling him Little Bro. There's also the fact that by Drake labeling Kendrick as a mini Drake, he's literally saying that Kendrick is a smaller extension of himself and alluding to the fact that he's nowhere near to being on Drake's level. And he's also rebuttaling 2 of Kendrick's gun bars, one being Euphoria.
The very first time I shot me a Drake, the homie had told me to aim it this way.
And also to Like That record.
That's a K with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery, nigga.
So not only is this a good punchline, but he also has a couple rebuttals in there, which is something that we give points for in battle rap. this is a thing.
If they're good rebuttals. If they're good rebuttals, we give them points. We don't just give points because they're rebuttals. They got to be good rebuttals.
He always said I overlooked him, I was staring straight.
This line acts as a double entendre where 1, Drake alludes to Kendrick's height, he literally overlooks him because he's taller, and 2, Drake is only focused on people he considers to be on his level, he looks straight ahead, meaning he only acknowledges artists who are the same caliber as himself. Drake doesn't view Kendrick as being on his level.
These bars go over Kenny head no matter what I say.
So Drake claims that the bars are going right over Kendrick's head, which is a phrase that we often use in hip-hop when the bars are so complex that the audience doesn't catch it. Secondly, it's obviously another short joke where the bars are literally going over Kendrick's head due to his short size. So again, another jab at Kendrick for his short stature, and while I felt like the short jokes were already played out in push-ups, I got to thinking, maybe Drake knows that Kendrick is insecure.
I feel like another hour of this video... Alright, I'm going to boost it up to 1.5. I'm going to boost it up to 1.5.
About this. Even when Drake dropped that track, he shared a story promoting it where he said, out on all platforms, like the shoes you need, and there are many instances of Kendrick wearing footwear where he seems to be trying to gain a couple inches. I mean, maybe it is a sore spot for Kendrick.
I know you like to keep it short, so let me paraphrase.
Again, another short joke, and even if this does get under Kendrick's skin a little bit, at this point, Drake is wasting valuable real estate here, and it's time to move on.
Knew it was smoke when Abel hit us with a serenade. Niggas say, almost started reaching for my waist.
Drake clowns The Weeknd as he was one of the artists that took shots at Drake recently and has remained a target. It's here where he sarcastically pretends to be afraid of The Weeknd, suggesting that he's reaching for his waist to get a pistol. He's basically saying like, oh no, don't get the big bad Weeknd after me. It's at this point in the music video where the van gets crushed and Drake syncs this with the hook of the track. Now, the act of crushing this van in particular is Drake's way of saying, I helped bring you into this thing and now I'm taking you out of it. Good Kid, Mad City is among one of the best...
The title says tons of new info, but I don't think any of this is new info.
Hip-hop albums of all time. It certainly makes my list,
Maybe a little
and this
bit
is a
of it.
pretty slick chess move from Drake. As dramatic as it is, I think the crushing the van shit is dope. Like, it's a good visual. It feeds into what Drake's trying to do on
It was a good visual. It just sucks that 10 minutes later, Meet the Grams dropped.
his record. Something else you'll notice about the hook is that this time, Drake cuts the track off before he says PG, and inserts 3 gunshots instead.
I'm really trying to keep it.
So this whole time, he did want to keep this just to Kendrick, but now he's firing on everyone.
Stop playing around and take this shit serious, man. Niggas is a joke, I take it serious though.
And now we get to part 2, and this is really where Drake really starts to rap. Now, as far as the visuals go for the second portion of the video, Drake showcases a Mercedes hearse from multiple angles. He shows off the exterior a few times, and then focuses on the inside of the vehicle itself. You'll notice that the location of where the casket is usually secured is empty, and this is a visual that Drake focuses on. I believe the reason for an empty hearse is to symbolize that the Good Kid, Mad City van acted as the coffin for Kendrick. When the van is crushed, Kendrick is buried, and the empty hearse demonstrates that the job has been done. That is my best interpretation of it. However...
Or it's just a hearse that symbolizes death. It could just be that simple. I spent $500 on the Air Girlfriend. Is that bad? Nah, that's valid. I feel goofy for having to reiterate this because I feel like it's obvious, but the way this guy's talking is like this beef was competitive. Yeah, it wasn't.
Another layer comes into play when we look into the make and model of this hearse in particular.
Drake trying to pull Kendrick's card. It was like a high school kid trying to fight Mike Tyson in his prime.
This took me a lot of digging, and I looked at more hearses than I would like to admit, but you can see that the Maybach model has the exact same interior. All the other hearses I looked at do not look like this one. This is the Maybach hearse. Drake's reason for using a Maybach hearse is impactful because when Kendrick first met Drake, this was the vehicle that he used to pick him up.
A white waitress on standby when we need her. A black Maybach fully poured up, Jeep, no doors.
So I feel like Drake is basically saying, I used the Maybach to pick you up. That was the start of our relationship and me helping you. I helped get you to Good Kid, Mad City. I helped you with Good Kid, Mad City. I'm crushing the van. I'm burying you. This is your funeral. And I did this with a Mercedes Maybach hearse. So the vehicle I brought you in with is the vehicle I just took you out with.
I mean, it's technically not the same vehicle for one, and for two, it could just be like one of the more expensive hearses. I mean, maybe that's the reason why he did it, but
much. It's here where Drake puts on a clinic, really sliding on his beat. Picking up from where he left off, Drake starts out the verse with some more bars for The Weeknd and his crew. First, he makes a reference to The Weeknd's claims on a recent track called All to Myself. It's on this track where The Weeknd alludes to how one of Drake's OVO goons, Baka Not Nice, is posting on TikTok.
Hello, good morning, bitch. How you doing today?
Drake claims that one of his former colleagues, P. Rain...
That's actually hilarious.
is the brother of the Weeknd's best shooter, Gilla. Drake is basically saying, like, I'm in good with your number one goon. He's friends of OVO. Like, you're not going to do shit to me. So it's here where Drake dishes out a triple entendre. First off, Drake continues to respond to...
Alright, I ain't gonna hold y'all. I know what the rest of this shit means, bro. Yeah, it's nothing like super deep that he pointed out. Maybe I'm gonna miss something if I skip it though. What the fuck is this?
Drake appears to highlight on this track that the woman involved was not just anyone, but that it was his queen, Whitney. Now, there's a video of a security guard who claims that Kendrick was indeed responsible for this incident.
Because like half of her face was like blown out pretty much. She was with a certain rapper who had assaulted her. His first name was Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar? Yeah. There was cops there, and we didn't find out it was Kendrick until later.
And it's at this point where the Who Kid drop from Drake from Push-Ups starts to get a little more interesting. When we explore this further, the Who Kid drop wasn't just a reference to the Dave Free and Whitney allegations, but it pointed us right into the direction of when Kendrick performed in Las Vegas on May 3rd, 2014, with DJ Who Kid playing the very next day. Then we can't forget that Drake dropped his Family Matters record on May 3rd, so this was all extremely calculated. I can guarantee Kendrick did not want these allegations coming to light again. He picked up on that drop in Push-Ups right away, knew what it meant, and he acted accordingly.
Fabricating stories on the family front because you heard Mr. Morale.
It's called a safety net, right? That's what that is.
If you take it there, I'm taking it further.
Now, what we do know is that Kendrick did indeed make it to this performance. As you can see, this is when he first arrived at the event, and this is him with his friends at the rehab pool. He was slated to perform early that Saturday at 10 a.m. I also found a photo where he's in his hotel suite after the performance, and this photo was likely taken midday. I tried my best to pinpoint what exact suite this was, meaning what hotel was this at, but I couldn't figure it out. I think it would also be helpful to find out what hotel he was at, right? So if you guys could find it, go right ahead. Next, we also know that Kendrick didn't just hang...
This is a high level of snitching, but let's see if he finds anything.
...hang back to chill at the suite that night, as we have photos of him at the pre-party for the Mayweather fight. As you can see, the date by Alamy is clearly listed as Las Vegas, May 3rd, 2014. Interestingly enough, the bodyguard also stated that this incident took place during Memorial Day weekend or at a fight.
It was Memorial Day or it was fight weekend, I don't remember.
However, another layer comes into play here as we also have a photo of Kendrick with Whitney at this exact pre-party. As you can see, Alamy clearly tags this photo as being at a pre-party for a Mayweather fight on May 3rd. We also know that Kendrick made it to the fight that night, as I found a photo of him at the event. And that's when the fight took place, May 3rd. The main fight took place that night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it went the full 12 rounds, wrapping up at around 1 a.m. With all that said, we now have a fairly decent timeline of what Kendrick's day looked like up until early in the morning of May 4th. Based on what the bodyguard is saying, and based on the info I just shared, it seems like Kendrick would have went back to his hotel that night between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., and this is likely when the incident would have took place. So when we look at the timeline I presented, we got to at least admit that the bodyguard's info aligns with it, right?
It was Memorial Day or it was fight weekend, I don't remember.
Also important to note, even if this incident did take place on Memorial Day weekend, it still wouldn't look much better for Kendrick because he also performed in Vegas during that time as well.
It was Memorial Day or it was fight weekend, I don't remember.
I mean, if you don't like the info, just call me a culture vulture. That'll make you feel better. Secondly, there is information from a news outlet called Media Takeout, which reported on the incident when it occurred. According to Media Takeout, both TDE and a crisis management firm contacted them demanding that the article be taken down, claiming that the story was entirely false. And as it stands right now today, this is all we got. Everything I just showed you guys is what we got. So I'm going to leave this on you guys. Keep in mind, these are harsh allegations, right? So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I feel like with allegations like that, you need, like, solid proof.
We've got circumstantial clues, but we don't...
Put some Minecraft aside. Drake is a genius, he knows the truth.
Don't have... Okay. There's literally no concrete evidence that he did this. So with that said, do you think the story's true and TDE hid this? Or do you think this is just all fabricated bullshit? For me, I'll be honest, I could never put this on Kendrick's jacket without documentation, picture, something, right? It's just, these are harsh allegations. So in closing, finally wrapping this thing up, I think Family Matters is totally slept on because it is indeed a solid diss record.
It's solid in the fact that it's decent. I don't think it was hard hitting like that personally. I kind of want to watch the Company Man video to see what this is about. Should I watch it now or should I make another stream? What I think? Should I watch it now or should I watch it tomorrow? Or like later tonight? Because I kind of I'm drained from this video. I'm not gonna lie. This is a lot to sit here and watch this much. Look up Femto.
And like the company man.
No. Okay. I didn't want to play it at all. What the fuck is that? Oh, this is yo. You know what's funny? Berserk is one of my favorite animes. I don't want to watch this. Drake is legit Femto. Drake had a dog mask for the freak. Okay, y'all getting out of hand. All right, y'all. I'm about to end the stream. I'm gonna come back later on tomorrow or maybe even tonight with the Company Man video response. I don't watch the Company Man's videos, so I don't really know who he is, but apparently he made a video response to What's the Dirt, and I'm a little interested to see what that's about. So yeah. But anyway, that's my analysis and my rebuttals. Like and subscribe. You could just subscribe. Fuck the likes. Subscribe to the channel. We definitely gonna be back real soon. I stream pretty often if you're like new here, so where it's usually funnier times. We like laugh and joke about stupid shit. But my community is growing pretty fast. So, you feel me? You could be one of those people that be like, yo, I knew Anthony when he had no subscribers. And I supported him then. Don't you want to be that guy? Everyone loves that guy. So be that guy. Subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to catch y'all later.